This is Mac OS Ken.
Parlez-vous edition. Morgan Stanley sees strength in Macs, and 3 tales of TV. It's Monday, the 11th of January, 2021. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Amazon Pharmacy. Your medication made easy. Learn more at amazon.com/MacOSKenRX. This show is also sponsored by NordVPN. Online security starts with a click. A VPN gives you a secure, encrypted tunnel for your online traffic. Nobody can see your data through it. That's great if you're traveling or if you just want to keep your browsing history to yourself. So that's why you would want a VPN. As for why you want NordVPN, they've got over 5,200 super fast servers in 59 countries around the world. The Next Web says of NordVPN, you'll always find fast, reliable access points, and with 0 logs recorded, you can surf safely knowing your information will never fall into the wrong hands. I say, trying servers both here in the States and around the world, my access has been speedy and easy. But try it for yourself at an incredibly low price. Right now you can get 68% off NordVPN, only $3.71 a month, plus you get an additional month free at nordvpn.com/MacOSKen or use a coupon MacOSKen. NordVPN comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so take advantage of this deal. Get 68% off NordVPN, only $3.71 a month, plus an additional month free at nordvpn.com/MacOSKen or use coupon MacOSKen. Again, that is nordvpn.com/MacOSKen or use coupon MacOSKen. If you downloaded the Parlor app over the weekend, probably you didn't. And if it's still working, you definitely didn't. Hard to imagine you haven't heard this story, but it's also hard to imagine not doing it. BuzzFeed ran a piece Friday afternoon saying Apple had threatened to ban the social network app Parlor from the App Store. Now let me stop me right there. It should be pronounced Parler, French for speak. People pronounce it Parlor, though. I point that out for reasons that will be amusing a bit later. If you don't know what Parler is, BuzzFeed explains. Launched in 2018, Parler has become a safe haven for people that have been banned or suspended by popular social networks, including Facebook and Twitter, for violating those platforms' rules. The Henderson, Nevada-based company has billed itself as a free speech alternative to mainstream social networks and taken a more relaxed approach to content moderation, attracting conspiracy theorists, members of hate groups, and right-wing activists who have openly incited violence. Recent threads on Parler, for example, have called for the execution of Vice President Mike Pence. See, it's stuff like that last bit, calls for violence and execution, that got Apple to call on Parler to shape up or be expelled from the App Store. Quoting a letter Apple sent to Parler on Friday, "We have received numerous complaints regarding objectionable content in your Parler service, accusations that the Parler app was used to plan, coordinate, and facilitate the illegal activities in Washington, D.C. on the 6th of January 2021 that led, among other things, to loss of life, numerous injuries, and the destruction of property. The app also appears to continue to be used to plan and facilitate yet further illegal and dangerous activities." After looking into the complaints, Apple came to the conclusion that Parler was not effectively moderating and removing content that encouraged illegal activity and posed a serious risk to the health and safety of users and direct violation of Parler's terms of service. And so Apple gave Parler 24 hours to remove all objectionable content from the app and submit a revised binary for review. Apple said Parler also had to respond to the message with detailed information about how Parler intended to moderate and filter this content from the app and what it would do to improve moderation and content filtering on the service, for this kind of objectionable content going forward. But why wait? Wondered the folks at Google. Ars Technica ran a piece Friday evening saying that Google had pulled the Parler app from the Google Play Store, apparently without warning. In a statement to Ars, said Ars, Google said it was enforcing long-standing policies requiring that social media apps remove egregious content like posts that incite violence. We're aware of continued posting in the Parler app that seeks to incite ongoing violence in the U.S., a Google spokesman told Ars. In light of this ongoing and urgent public safety threat, we are suspending the app's listings from the Play Store until it addresses these issues. Which is going to be tough for it to do without hosting, but we'll get to that. First, with time ticking down, people rushed to Apple's App Store to download the app before it went away. On Saturday, Mac Daily News ran a piece saying that the Parler app had hit the top spot on the App Store's charts for free apps. Then came the curtain. With time expired and without the requisite changes made, Engadget says Apple on Saturday pulled the Parler app from the App Store. Based on Apple's letter informing Parler of the removal, it seems the app made some motions to forestall expulsion. Didn't work. Pulling from parts of Apple's response, we have determined that the measures you describe are inadequate to address the proliferation of dangerous and objectionable content on your app. And in your response, you reference that Parler has been taking this content very seriously for weeks. However, the process Parler has put in place to moderate or prevent the spread of dangerous and illegal content have proved insufficient. And while there is no perfect system to prevent all dangerous or hateful user content, apps are required to have robust content moderation plans in place to proactively and effectively address these issues. A temporary task force is not a sufficient response, given the widespread proliferation of harmful content. Apple made clear in its letter that Parler would be welcome back into the App Store, provided it both cleans up its act and finds a way to keep that act clean. In a statement on the issue to Engadget, Apple said, "We have always supported diverse points of view being represented on the App Store, but there is no place on our platform for threats of violence and illegal activity. Parler has not taken adequate measures to address the proliferation of these threats to people's safety. We have suspended Parler from the App Store until they resolve these issues." Now, hard though it may be to believe, Parler ended up with bigger issues than those. Saturday night, Engadget ran a piece saying that Amazon had decided to terminate Parler's access to AWS. They cited a letter sent from a member of the Amazon Web Services Trust and Safety team to Parler, shared by BuzzFeed News. Quoting that letter, "Over the past several weeks, we have reported 98 examples to Parler of posts that clearly encourage and incite violence. It's clear that Parler does not have an effective process to comply with the AWS terms of service. It also seems that Parler is still trying to determine its position on content moderation. Because Parler cannot comply with our terms of service and poses a very real risk to public safety, we plan to suspend Parler's account effective Sunday, the 10th of January, at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time." And day came, and night came, and Parler was gone. Initially, Parler's CEO said the service might be down for a week as they rebuilt from scratch. That time frame appears to have been optimistic, though. A piece from Fortune had the CEO saying Sunday, "We will likely be down longer than expected. This is not due to software restrictions. We have our software and everyone's data ready to go. Rather, it's that Amazon's, Google's, and Apple's statements to the press about dropping our access has caused most of our other vendors to drop their support for us as well. And most people with enough servers to host us have shut their doors to us. We will update everyone and update the press when we are back online." While most of this story is somewhere between troubling and vile, there is one part that's actually kind of funny. Remember when I noted the common pronunciation of the app Parler versus how it should be pronounced? The headline from a Mashable post on Sunday read, "Confused users in search of Parler push the app Parler to to top of the App Store charts. Mashable says the app was sitting at number 2 on both the App Store and Google Play Store on Sunday. According to the piece, Parlor is a social talking app in which people can get on and talk with strangers about different topics. It's been around for 10 years, according to the app listing, and Sensor Tower data indicates it had 40,000 downloads as of December 2020. Its reviews are not great, to say the least, and it looks, well, pretty porn-y. I make fun because it's funny now. Still, it is a social talking app. You gotta wonder how their content moderation is set up. More news in a moment, but first a word from Amazon Pharmacy. Your medication made easy. In #these uncertain times, I still go to the grocery store. I take hand sanitizer, I wear a mask, but I still go to the grocery store. I do that because I like to spot sales and I like to choose my own food. Nobody picks out their own prescriptions, so why go to the pharmacy for it? Your medication can come to you with Amazon Pharmacy. I like that. It means no standing in line with people who maybe aren't feeling so well. Just have your doctor's office send your next prescription straight to Amazon Pharmacy, and your meds turn up at your door. It works with most insurance plans nationwide, but Amazon Prime members paying for a prescription without insurance can save with Amazon Pharmacy. Their pricing is clear and understandable. They're HIPAA compliant. And another thing I like, you can get in touch with a pharmacist 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're still going to the pharmacy to pick up your meds, have them come to you instead. Amazon Prime members can save on prescription medication when not using insurance and get free 2-day delivery. Learn more at amazon.com/macOSKenRX. AMAZON. That's amazon.com/macOSKenRX. One more time, amazon.com/macOSKenRX. While some worry over tough comparisons between 2020's strong Mac sales and sales in 2021, others see strength in sales continuing. Last week, BofA Merrill Lynch analyst Wamsi Mohan expressed his belief that Apple categories that gained due to COVID-19 work from home, like iPad and Mac sales, will face tougher year-over-year comparisons in 2021. Now, Morgan Stanley analyst Katie Huberty is taking an opposing and somewhat depressing view. Apple Insider has the Hube arguing the demand for PCs is likely to be structurally higher post-COVID because of the shift to remote work and notebooks. She also points out that laptops, likely what most people are buying these days, tend to be replaced more quickly than desktops. What I find most interesting about her note, as written up by Apple Insider, is that she seems to be opining on laptops in general, not Apple specifically. Take this bit. Data points include the fact that overall PC lead times have reached their highest level since the end of May 2020. Lead times for devices excluding Apple Macs are currently at 20 days. Previously, lead times stayed in the teens through the last 3 months of 2020. Then there's this part. Consumers and businesses typically replace their notebooks every 3 years, compared to 5 years for desktop computers. I assume that's an average for Windows machines as well as Macs. I'd love to see a breakdown on how often consumers specifically replace Macs specifically. Then again, Huberty follows Apple for Morgan Stanley. Seems likely that she'd have taken that into account in writing her note, even if she didn't spell it out. According to Apple Insider, Morgan Stanley believes that Apple will be one of the main beneficiaries of another year of growth in the PC market, as work from home drives higher notebook adoption. Quoting the report again, the current global notebook install base is about 55% of the total PC market. If it reaches 75%, Huberty forecasts it would imply annual PC unit shipments of 300 million units. That's 5% above the 2020 peak. The piece has Huberty saying, "We believe the desktop to notebook shift, which has been further fueled by the COVID environment, is a meaningful, underappreciated driver of long-term PC growth." Huberty has a buy rating on Apple shares. Her price target on the shares is $144. Talk of Apple Car made its way back into the news over the weekend, which of course was the start of the week around the world. On Friday, we heard a sort of mixed report from CNBC. The financial site had South Korean car maker Hyundai saying that it was in talks with Apple about developing an electric vehicle before walking that back a bit, saying instead that it was in talks with many interested parties, eliminating direct reference to the Cupertino company. Honestly, the story over the weekend may be part of the same fits and starts story. Before being revised, says a piece from Mac Rumors, a Korea IT news report said that the companies may either manufacture the electric vehicles at a Georgia factory owned by Kia Motors, a Hyundai Motor Group affiliate, or invest in a new facility in the U.S. that could produce up to 400,000 vehicles a year. The report also mentioned that a beta version of the Apple Car could be released in 2022. That's in line with a December report from Reuters that said Apple wanted cars rolling off the line in 2024. It stands in opposition to a report last week from Bloomberg that said an Apple Car was at least 5 years away, maybe 7. Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives is once again showing his Apple bullishness. Anyway, it sounds that way to me, although I might just read anything he writes about Apple as bullish at this point. Philip Elmer DeWitt's Apple 3.0 ran part of a note that Ives wrote last week. Quoting his note, "We would assign the chances of Apple unveiling its own standalone car by 2024 as 35 to 40%, given the Herculean-like auto production capabilities, battery technology ramp, financial model implications, and regulatory hurdles involved in such a game-changing initiative." Now, I know that 35 to 40% is under 50%. I'd still argue the fact that he puts the chances that high shows willingness to believe, if not outright bullishness, on this particular point. Contrary to the thinking of Morgan Stanley analyst Katie Huberty, Ives thinks Apple will partner up before starting out on its own. Huberty argued during a call last week that Apple really only succeeds when it's vertically integrated. This means designing the components and designing every part of the product, how it looks and feels to the consumer, the software, and the ecosystem that surrounds those products. Ives' note late last week states the view, "The chances of a strategic partnership with the likes of Tesla, VW, Hyundai, or other automakers in China are in the 70% plus range over the next few years and could lay the groundwork for a dual path, start building its own line of EV autos post-2025 over the next decade if this EV autonomous venture is successful with consumers." Mr. Ives has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $160. Let's end the day with a bit of escapism, by which I mean talk of TV. The Russo brothers have given us our first walking, talking look at Cherry. That's the Tom Holland movie about an Iraq War veteran that's coming soon to Apple TV+. We picked up a description in a piece from Deadline a few months back. In Cherry, Holland plays a guy who returns to the States with undiagnosed PTSD after serving as an army medic in Iraq. Prescribed OxyContin, he and his wife make the shift from pills to heroin, and it goes downhill from there. Now, iMore says the Russo brothers, who directed the film, have dropped a little over 1 minute of footage onto Twitter. It's not a trailer. Rather, it's the 1 minute scene when a broken-hearted Holland enlists in the army. That was accompanied by the simple message, "Cherry is coming to theaters February 26th, and to Apple TV Plus March 12th. Before finding Cherry, Apple TV Plus viewers will be losing Alice. According to Apple's description, in this internationally acclaimed psychological thriller, Alice is a middle-aged film director who feels lost since raising her family. But a chance meeting with Sophie, a femme fatale screenwriter, takes Alice on an obsessive journey towards success at any cost. Why bring this one up? Because the Mac Observer says Apple has posted a trailer for the series on YouTube. Losing Alice premieres on Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 22nd of January. And finally today, Angie Dickinson is back. I'm sorry, that's Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson is back. Another piece from the Mac Observer says the second season of Dickinson, the highly stylized, very fictionalized life story of poet Emily Dickinson, premiered on Friday on Apple TV Plus. If you're a fan, you'll probably be excited. If you're not a fan, there's still something interesting about the premiere. It's being presented the way other Apple series have been presented. When Apple TV Plus launched in late 2019, most of its flagship series hit with 3 episodes available, with follow-on shows hitting one at a time on successive Fridays. Dickinson was an exception. All 10 episodes in the first season hit on the same day. Not this time, though. TMO says the first 3 episodes of the Haley Steinfeld-led series hit on Friday. Like most of Apple's other shows, the piece says further episodes will be released every Friday. Coming up in a few minutes, 1 year into the show, we go back to the beginning. Peter Cohen joins us for the week, starting us off with a little Parler chat. Because why start with something simple? Peter Cohen. In a few minutes, listen and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken Live goes live again today, 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/KenRay. Catch it live or on replay there. You can also grab the audio podcast, macOS Ken Live, wherever you get podcasts. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by NordVPN. Get 68% off NordVPN, only $3.71 a month, plus an additional month free at nordvpn.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Amazon Pharmacy. Your medication made easy. Learn more at amazon.com/macOSKenRx. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.